Today's video, we're going to talk about the PMax strategy that makes millions. Damn! Makes millions for numerous of our clients and how it's going to make millions for you as well. I'm going to go through step by step how we've generated, starting from zero, millions of dollars a year in sales from PMax with returns as high as 1,000%, or at least at minimum 300-400%. Whereas you're going to be able to do this for yourself once you institute these steps for yourself. If you're not having success with PMax yet, it's because you just simply haven't done these steps. And until you've done these steps, you can't say you've gotten all the results from PMax. I'm going to go through exactly how this works. And then if you stay to the end of the video, I'm going to go over some actual case studies here. And so you can see just how much this is going to make your brand and how to actually do it. With that said, getting into the content, PMax as a whole was created, just so that you know, giving you some history here, for three main reasons, okay? The three reasons are, which are unannounced, and this is just off the cuff here. Ease of setup for new advertisers. Google understood that people that want to advertise on Google, it's your average Joe business owner who knows nothing whatsoever about advertising. They don't even have the patience to sit down and spend 15 minutes writing an ad. They just want it done and over with. And they want something they could push a button and then boom, their business explodes with sales. So with this said, they've over the years made things simpler and simpler and simpler for people to advertise. You know, given that nothing in advertising is simple if you want results, particularly when you're not operating in a vacuum and you got competitors who may or may not want to actually do more than the absolute bare freaking minimum. But the next chronological thing that they've done in order to make it a bit easier, hey, just put in a little bit of data here and we'll advertise everywhere for you. Number two, drain your money by selling you undesired ad placements itself, and then strategically surge how much you're spending and where you're showing based upon quarterly revenue estimate. Now, this is very contested. Nobody's admitting this, but the main reason, which is why I put an arrow point into this one, why they've done PMax, is because they want to sell you ad space that nobody else wants, that they can't sell any other way. They take the thing that you do want, which is Google search ads, and they wrap it behind the traffic on other websites that you don't want to advertise on, and they can sell it wrapping it with the good traffic and then just hiding it. That's what PMax really is great at. So, you know, because they know if they just ask the average Joe business owner, do you want to advertise on, you know, funnyvids.com? They're going to say no. But with PMax, oh, PMax is the latest, greatest thing. It gets you all the results that you want. And then people just fall for it. They're just gullible, essentially. No offense to anybody who's fell for it, but I gotta say how it is. Ultimately, it's not that those websites can't make you money if you know what you're doing, but just to randomly run it with PMax, it's not gonna make money. It's just gonna give Google an opportunity to sell and make money from placements that nobody else wants. And then on top of that, they're gonna surge your spend. So what Google likes to do with PMax is you say, hey, I want at least a 400% return on my ad spend. All of a sudden this week you get a 500% return above what you want. Guess what they're gonna do? They're gonna load you up with a lot more dog shit traffic for the next week, bringing your target down to 400% because you're primed for it. They're gonna deliver what you want, and they were over delivering for a while, so they're gonna take that opportunity to load you up with more traffic you don't want to unload it. You're the guy that they're gonna be apt to unload it on, so to say. Or if you don't track your results, which most people don't, they're going to just run your ads on crappy websites because you're primed to give that traffic to you, whereas the other guy who is tracking his results and says he only wants a 400% return, he's not the target at that point in time. So you may say, well, I could just track everything and say I want a high return, and then that takes care of everything else. Sort of, but then ultimately all that happens is Google can't get you any sales and your clicks go to zero. So it's not as simple as what you're thinking there. And then the third reason why Google created PMax and why it exists is to utilize machine learning to find new customers. Ultimately, they're going to look at all the data from your website, your Google Analytics account, and they're going to use all that data to decide should your ad show up for somebody or shouldn't they not. And they're doing this at the highest level with PMax. So that's the positive thing about it itself, but it's stupid because yes, in certain instances that will help you make more money, particularly e-commerce, but you need sophisticated sales funnels in order to monetize traffic at a high level. So if you're going to run your ad on flyfishing.com when you sell fly fishing equipment, you need to have a very particular ad for that website that's going to work. And for PMax being predicated around ease, and for novice advertisers, it's not set up to get you the results on flyfishing.com when you know the bare minimum about advertising. And even then, okay, you're better off with this standalone display advertising campaign to target that website. Why? Because you can target flyfishing.com itself by itself, number one. Number two, you can actually, if it's not quite making the money you want, you can even, take out mobile traffic, increase your return on investment. You can do other stuff and split test your ads, so to say, see which one actually converts better. You can split test your landing pages, which you sort of kind of do in PMax, but bottom line, you want all the controls available to you to test. Given that if you're not in a market that has very low competition and high demand, you're going to need to test this stuff and have all your controls just to be able to make money. I know, because this is all I do. And if it were that easy to set up a PMax campaign and get rich, of course, either people wouldn't need our firm and we wouldn't be in business, or I would be freaking rich because that's all I would have to do. And I'd charge people money for something that took 5 minutes to do. It's not that easy, ultimately, but PMax certainly does have its uses, okay? Namely in the e-commerce, okay? Now, to use PMax to make a ton of money, millions of dollars a year for your business, you need to know these key things. Number one, feed-only setups are king. Feed-only means you're not going to have headlines, images, logos, any of that crap in your PMax campaign, which is going to force the system to only run your ads in the shopping placements. Those added machine learning will run a shopping placement for your brand, which are the picture ads with the price underneath it on Google, better than what a standard shopping campaign or a standalone shopping campaign is going to do for your business. A lot more. Enough to where only want to run PMax for shopping for an e-commerce brand. Okay, and shopping tends to be 50 to 70% of your revenue that you can make through Google Ads when you compare shopping to search itself. Not counting display or YouTube, which you can make even more with that if you know what the hell you're doing. The feed-only setup, you want different campaigns for each product or service category that you sell or brand. Ultimately, if you sell furniture, you want to ideally have a campaign for couches, a campaign for beds, so on and so forth. Why? Because Google can learn better when you put all your products together that will perform differently and have a different customer base into its own campaign. Because it can look at the click data and see the similarities in all the clicks and learn quicker than if you just mixed everything up in one big thing, if you will. And then, but on top of that, you can set your budgets and bids differently, given that each category has a different margin. You can put a different target, but also because it takes longer to scale up certain categories. So you'll want to have your target ROAS lower initially, longer on categories that are harder to ramp up because there's more competition. Whereas the ones that are doing well sooner, you can ramp those up quicker by having a higher target ROAS or a higher daily budget on your campaign. It gives you more granularity, better control on what you got, your control on your investment, so to say. But also, it doesn't stop there. You also are going to have different campaigns for top sellers. The easiest way to make money from PMax, if you're not making it already in e-commerce, is to take the top 10 or 20% of the items that sell the most from your store and just run those in PMax, just by itself. When you start making money, you could slowly add in the other items. So maybe the next 20%, the next, and the next, like that. Okay? We do that all the time. And then also demographic signals. If you're not making money with PMax now, figure out what age, what gender, what income demographic actually matches your customer base. And if you don't know, of course, Google gives you this data for free in your insights. If you want to search for it, I'm not going to go into where to click for that, but Google gives you that data. If you got the pixel on the website, you can go into Google Analytics to see that data. You could also take your customer base and give it to a data company like Axicom, and they'll tell you the data on your customer base, what their average income is, age and gender. And not to say that, people will say, well, everybody buys. Well, the reality is 80% of your customers come from 20% of all that. And if you want to make your campaign profitable, at least at the beginning, you start with the 20% of the age, gender, and income demographics that work in your signals menu, and then you just exclusively run that. And then if you want to scale, then you're going to have a different campaign that targets the next best 20%, like with the items, and then the next 20% like that. That's just how you scale it up, starting with a small setup that is not going to get a lot of potential long-term, but like at a high ROAS right away. Then you start taking your money you're making from that and then start scaling it up accordingly. Not only that though, now we're getting into the more advanced stuff. You want customer level signals and competitor signals added to your campaigns. Now, if you can, you want to create different asset groups for every item that you're selling. If you sell thousands of items, this might be not feasible, or at least not instantly feasible. You could still do it, it just takes more time. But you're going to create a custom customer list for every item that you sell that is even remotely a big item that you sell. So let's just say if you sold thousands of an item, at that point in time, you want to put that item into its own asset group. You want to add the customers of who bought that item in the past as a audience signal. You know, obviously you upload that customer list to Google via the customer match system, and then you can add it there in your signals menu in that asset group. Okay, that's number one. Number two, you go find all the direct competitors to that item that are, you know, direct competitors, price competitor, you know, like similarly priced. If they're not buying that, they're buying something else. And then you take all those, you put that into a custom intent audience list, and you add that as a signal to your asset group as well. So essentially what Google has now is all the data on whoever bought from you in the past, so they can look at all the similarities between all the customers there in terms of not just now on the demographics level, but what websites they like to visit, what do they like to say and do. I mean, if you got a freaking phone in your pocket and you have a Google app on your phone, they're listening to everything you say. And then they can actually build a profile on you. Well, when you give them 1,000 customers, they can see the correlation between one customer and another based upon what they've ever said. And they can use that in their machine learning algorithm, like I was mentioning here, to identify is your portion of the market. So if you're selling wedding dresses, they're going to find out people that search for wedding dresses, what 5% of all that traffic is your customer based upon who's bought from you in the past, specifically, if you will, for that particular wedding dress type. You know, if they buy a pink wedding dress, well, what makes those people different than other people who buy wedding dresses? That they will figure out with their machine learning algorithms itself. And then, of course, with the competitors, it's the same idea. They're going to look at all the people when you create your custom intent audience with your competitor names that have recently searched for those competitor names, what they're like, what makes them different, and then use that to guide whether your ad shows up for wedding dresses or not shows up for wedding dresses in the future, at least for that individual item, like I was talking about. In addition to that, if somebody searches for that competitor's item, which is more important, your ad's going to be more likely to show up. So if they type in that other competitor pink wedding dress, then your ad is most likely to show up next to or in the search results, if you will, for that person. Because that's the exact, prospect you'd want to get in front of is somebody considering the direct competitor. And because you're doing this on an item by item level, they'll know the exact item to show for that person searching for your competitor's brand because they're searching for that exact product. So when I say competitors and create a custom intent list with your competitors in there, you're doing it on the product level. So item A, competitors of product A, or this competitor, product A, this product A, this product B, this product C. And so if they're searching for these three exact products from our competitors, then you should show this ad. And effectively, that's what you're doing. Not put the name of the overall company as your signal, because that's not exact enough. If you want to make the millions of dollars, you got to go ahead and do this work. You got to figure out which products compete with which products you sell, and you got to create your custom intent audience by item like this. Now, if you're selling items are almost exactly the same, you could get by with creating your custom intent audiences based upon people typing in your competitor's brand name itself. The bottom line is you're going to generally make more money every time when you do this by item. So if you want to get the big results like we're getting for our clients at our firm, you absolutely want to go the extra mile. You want to add this on an individual item by item level, if you will. I know this takes a lot of work. You may skip these signals on an item level, your competitors, your customer list by item, and you may make enough money. And you may just, good for you, essentially, and mean that in a respectful way. But if you're not making the money you want to make and you're not scaling quick enough, you know what you got to do, which is more work. You got to give Google's machine learning algorithms more to work with. Otherwise, you can't complain about the results and how quickly the results are scaling because you haven't done everything you can to tell them what they need to know for the machine learning algorithm to figure out what's the 2% of your market that's a home run prospect for you. Otherwise, they just got to figure out through trial and error. And so instead of it taking 18 months to reach a certain amount of sales, you reach it in 2 months because you did the proper work to train the algorithm up front itself. That's e-commerce. That's how you make millions of dollars a year running PMax for your brand. You gave the system all the data that you need to not only get mega results, but get them quickly. Ultimately, you could get the same results not doing all this stuff and just let Google waste millions of dollars and eventually find the 2% of your market that buys. Or you could just train the algorithm and do all this work like I told you and get it done right away, essentially, if you will. So that's up to you to decide. Do you want to waste money to get the data? Or do you want to train the algorithm and not, spend your time to save the money that you would have to spend to train the algorithm through brute force trial and error, so to say. So I know both of them might not be appealing, but you got to pick one. Either you spend the money to get the data or you spend the time to train the algorithm. One or the other. And for that matter, this stuff, people want results, but they don't also, have time to do the work. Like I talk about all these videos all the time. That's why you hire our firm and we're going to do it for you. We charge a reasonable fee. And with that, we do not charge a fee unless we can get you more sales than what our fee is. We guarantee that as far as when we give a client a proposal. If you're interested in that from us to do it for you, reach out to me at guaranteedppc.com. I'd be happy to hook you up with what you need. I can give you an 8-quarter projection of your results on top of it. Guaranteedppc.com is where you can reach me if you're interested in a projection like that, which we do not charge for. Beyond that, though, in general, if you like managing your own campaigns, you're not going to find better information that you're going to find on this channel. So you should go ahead and subscribe to this channel because the information you get here truly is better than anything else on YouTube because most of the people talking on YouTube aren't managing ads themselves anymore, or in general, they run a couple campaigns. The information's useless because of that. And I spend 40 hours a week doing ad strategy at our firm and then share what works on the weekend. So there's no better place to get the information about how to make money on Google, Facebook, online with ads in general. I've got a great blog on my site at guaranteedppc.com/blog as well, where you can see step-by-step how to use the strategies that I use to guarantee our clients results at our firm, which I mentioned that we guarantee results on all the campaigns that we run before charging fees. In addition, so if you like the channel, you should check the blog out as well. Do you have any questions, by the way, about anything I'm covering here in this video or in general? You can always leave me a comment below. I get back to everybody who leaves me a comment, truly, usually within 24 hours. And then also, I have a great Discord group that I've opened up where I'm answering questions in there. You got a ton of other people from this channel that follow this channel religiously in there, answering people's questions that follow these strategies. You can find the link to that Discord group in the video description, or you can set up a coaching call with me. I don't care if you're an agency owner or company, regular company doing what you're doing. I can get on a call with you and talk you through what you're planning to do or what you're stuck on. And in 30 minutes, we can work it out together similarly. And then as a final option, you can also, by the way, we've got templates available. If you want results in your market, we've already worked in your market before, we can sell you the winning ads, landing pages, campaign templates that work for your niche market. Then use those templates to just copy paste those templates into your ad account. You can get the same results we did with none of the work that it took for us to figure out how to get it. A lot of times we spent millions upon millions of dollars in a market to find out the best way to run ads in a market. You can use that template for yourself and get the same results with none of that work and time and money that we had to spend to figure out how to do it in your market. We've worked in hundreds of different niche markets now, so the chances are quite high we've already got the template you're looking for. Reach out to me if you're interested in the templates as well. Now, I mentioned about e-commerce. E-commerce is where we exclusively use PMax, mainly because it managed to run shopping placements better than what you can get through standard shopping campaigns. But we do not run non-e-commerce at all using PMax. The only time we would do that is occasionally as a bridge strategy if a client's already doing it, and then we'll set up new search campaigns or whatever to replace PMax, and then it's just a matter of time of replacing PMax because we're going to do better with the standard shopping or a standard search campaign or the display campaign or whatever we're doing. Now, if you are going to do PMax for non-e-commerce, that is lead generation, if you're going to do it, you're going to need unique asset groups for each service that you promote. You're also going to need offline conversion tracking plus heavy negative keywords. It's not a set and forget thing like Google tries to make it out to be. You need to track when a lead comes in and it's qualified so you can give that back to the system. Otherwise, you're going to get 95% junk traffic because Google is going to load you up with so much junk traffic on the display network that it's going to kill your business in the process. You're going to choke on it and you're going to die. Take it from me. Now, there are situations where we've seen it be profitable, but it's in markets where there's basically no competition and there's still decent demand for what you do. For instance, we had a company who did motorized shades. That's the type of business that not many people think about getting into in the first place. And the people that would get into it, it's kind of like hard to do. So it just keeps most people out. The client did this. They were able to get an 8-to-1 return on their ad spend on a PMax campaign just in and itself in that market. Rarely, though, are you going to make money with PMax, running PMax for a lead generation campaign. Occasionally happens. That's one example of it where it did work, but anything would work in that market, practically speaking, because again, it's like even the crappy setup will work because of the lack of competitors actually doing it, at least specializing it, not just having a random page on their site saying they do it, but they actually specialize in it. You can get by with it. But my argument is, why settle for dog crap average results? I mean, if you could get average results with PMax for lead generation, you can get freaking amazing results if you were to just set up the proper search campaigns for yourself or display or whatever you're doing and just do it that way. That is, if you know what you're doing, setting those up or hired somebody who knows what they're doing, of course, you're going to make way more. We're talking 5-10 times as much easily doing it that way. So, I mean, you can do it if you want to save time, but that's what you're losing. Now, on the e-commerce side, I mean, there's countless how many campaigns that we've ran now for e-commerce companies doing feed-only setups, taking them from 0 to millions. We've done just a plain company doing house paint, where we started literally with this guy from 0, and we scaled it up to 5 million a year, 70% of which is off of the back of the PMax campaign that we were running. Also, furniture, like Amish furniture. We had a company doing that. Same type of thing. Scaled up several million a year from where they were at within a 3-year time just by using PMax and a little bit of light search. But 80% of that growth was just from the PMax. And that's how quickly you could scale it up. So no, it's not a get rich quick scheme. But in a 3 or 5 year period, you could literally go from 0 on a PMax to running several million a year in sales at a return that's profitable still, that is an ROI or ROAS that's profitable, just by understanding what I just told you here. And you'll get there quicker by going through all the steps versus just some. But even if you go through some, you're still going to be able to scale up like that. We had a situation where we had somebody selling their like stuffed animals, toys like that. And we did PMax. And because we went ahead and added these signals for the competitors on an individual item by item level, we were able to get that client's return going within 45 days of launching the campaign. So we needed at least a 4-to-1 return on our ad spend. We had it within a month and a half just by doing that. Why? Because it's a newer company. And also, we didn't think of too much else that we wanted to do besides PMax in that situation because it's a visual item. Generally speaking, when you sell something that you have to see to buy, PMax is where it's at. Not exclusively, but in that situation, it was a startup company. We knew how to do more to get it working because we don't have a year to wait for it to be profitable. So, I mean, you can get your stuff profitable in a month if you go through all these steps. You know, in the case of the paint company, the Amish furniture company, we're talking about returns over 5-to-1 return, which in that market's already good enough. Some markets we're getting 10 or more greater return. We had a company that sold skylights before. We were at a 10-to-1 margin there, or ratio of sales to ad spend, or ROAS there. So, I mean, hundreds of different PMax campaigns we've ran over the last few years since PMax's been around. And they routinely just work if you go through these steps, just to keep it simple. But with that said, I'm going to wrap it up with that. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. If you want to see another video, click here. It is one of my best ones.